Welcome. We are looking at Dendrobium aphyllum. It also is known as Dendrobium pierardi, but aphyllum describes much better the way this plant looks, because aphyllum means leafless, and this plant produces flowers from leafless canes. It is an orchid, and just like all the orchids, it is beautiful. All orchids are beautiful. However, it is beautiful only for maybe 3 weeks during the year, and then the flowers are dropped, and then the plant looks quite insignificant and is not a very decorative plant. On the contrary, it looks quite plain when not in bloom. The flowers are produced from leafless canes, and there is one leaf left here. All the leaves were lost somewhere during the dormancy period. There is one more leaf left here, and the flowers are developing from the nodules where the leaves used to grow before they fell. And from each nodule there should be 2 flowers growing. However, there are spots here, there are some nodules where there is only 1 flower. It means that one of the flower buds was just dropped for various reasons. Oops, look here. There is a bumblebee that tries to pollinate these beautiful flowers, which means the strategy works, which means the flowers are attracting insects, attracting the pollinators. The flowers grow from leafless canes, but not from all of them. They only grow from the canes that grew the previous season. And if we look closely here, you might see that there is one stem emerging, a new one, very tiny still, and there is one even tinier, and I hope maybe for 3, because it's been about 7 years now that I've had this plant, and for the first time it grew 2 canes, so I hope for 3 this season. We'll see. Dendrobium aphyllum is one of the very few orchids that grow nicely for me. Very few orchids that bloom, and very few orchids that I can actually keep alive. Orchids can have very different requirements, and it doesn't mean that if we treat all of the orchids the same, they will all be blooming. And that's why very few of them bloom for me, because at my place the humidity is too low for some species, the temperature is too high or too low for other. So Dendrobium aphyllum seems to like my place, and it seems to cooperate with me. And here is what I do. As I said, there will be a cane or 2 or maybe 3 growing from the center of the plant, and very soon the leaves will start forming from it, and it will grow down. It will be a pendulous stem, and then somewhere at the end of summer it will stop growing. It will produce its last leaf, and it will stop growing, and that will be the sign for me to stop watering the plant, to induce a dormancy period for it. And it will be somewhere in the end of October, maybe beginning of November. So when the stem stops growing, when the leaves sometimes even will start turning brown or yellow, but even before that, I will stop watering the plant completely. I will let the leaves drop, and it will be dry until new buds appear on the previous year's stems, which will be leafless at that time. And that will be an indication that the watering needs to be resumed. And I am watering this plant from that moment on once a week. I water it by soaking the pot in which the plant grows in water Sometimes I add a very weak fertilizer to the water. I let it soak for about half an hour. I let it drip, and I put the plant at its usual spot. And then the following week I water it again. During the summertime, when it's very hot and dry, the plant might be sprayed or even soaked a little bit more often. When it's colder, when it's not sunny, the watering can be performed maybe every 10 days, maybe even every 2 weeks. The key is that the roots need to dry between the waterings. The plant is not kept in soil, it is kept in tree bark, which is a commercial substrate for orchids. And I also added to that tree bark mixture some shells of a broken clay pot. And clay is porous. There are pockets of humidity in the shells, and the roots really like it. I don't transplant it that often. I maybe transplanted it once since I got it. I got it in a very small pot, and once the pot was too small for the heaviness of the plant, once the pot became too small for the plant to be stable, I transplanted it into a bigger pot, and then I put it into a container which is also made out of clay, but the container is just for decorative purposes. And also because there is some space between the pot in which the plant grows and the container, it also traps humidity and it doesn't let the clay pot dry out completely, and to keep some humidity in its pores. So this is it. This is what I wanted to share with you about my Dendrobium pierardi, or Dendrobium aphyllum as it is also called. I hope you like it. I love it. I am so happy with it. You know, the ugly duckling aspect of it is also something that I am very fond of, because the way the plant looks during the entire year, except for the 3 weeks when the flowers are open, doesn't really indicate that the flowers might be that gorgeous, that spectacular. I love this plant. And also the fact that it grows for me at all, and on top of everything it blooms, makes me really happy. Thank you very much for watching my video. Have a great day.